folks, welcome to another one of our Firewire reviews. Brand new model again for you. This is the LSD Chubby Chedda. So Luke Short Designs, shapes of some top surfers, Julian Wilson amongst a lot of other top guys. Beautiful looking board this. I've not really had my hands on one of these before, so it's been good to check it out today. So this is a more refined version of the Chubby Checker. And we'll kind of explain how it's changed and why. But generally, you can see it's quite a wide squash tail. Nice bump squash, you'll see a definite kind of angulation difference where my hand is here. But maintaining plenty of volume and width through this section of the board. And plenty of volume through the nose as well. But it's a nice refined, you know, it's not wide anywhere, it's just a nice refined shortboard shape. It's going to be just a good fun shortboard, this good all-round fun shortboard. Obviously, you know, the better guy's going to ride it smaller, intermediate guy's going to ride it longer. But it's a good solid squash tail template. A lot of pro riders ride this board or model similar to this just for free surfing, for a bit of fun. And I think this would be a cracking East Coast board, you know, through most of the year, just to be able to get out on beach breaks and throw it around. So rocker on top of the board, quite supple in the nose. Relatively flat in essence with a bit of flip, so that flatter rocker is going to help with wave entry, but enough flip in the nose there for them steeper holidays. At the back, loads of tail rocker, way more tail rocker than the Chubby Checker had, so that extra tail rocker is just sinking the tail and it's allowing the board to be turned quickly and easily when the surf's, even when it's small and hollow. So for small rampy surf, this is still allowing you to surf top to bottom as you would do on a much thinner, much smaller shortboard, you know, much as you would if you were riding better quality, bigger surf. So that tail rocker is keeping it real responsive, really easy and quick to turn. Match that tail rocker with a bump squash, which is not just a squash tail shape, but the fact that through this section here, if I spin the board around, you'll see it's pretty much in line with this fin. That angulation there makes for the board, makes for a much more whippy kind of design and feel. It's thinning the tail out, but it's kind of putting your pivot point here, and it's allowing the board to be whipped round a lot easier and a lot quicker. It's also narrowing the turning radius of the board for cutbacks. It's allowing the board to be turned much tighter, so you're getting a much tighter arc, and it's really allowing you to power through those cutbacks. The front half of the board is kind of really nicely refined. There's plenty of volume there to help keep your speed up, matched with that tail shape which is keeping the board fast and responsive. It just makes for a real good overall package. There is a little bit of a dome to the deck as well, and you'll see from the rails up to the centre. It is flattened out centrally, but it does dome down to a thinner edge, so it's maintaining sufficient foam up through the centre for smaller, weaker surf. But then again, when you match that with this cracking bump squash, you're getting a real responsive board that's going to work when it's a little bit gutless and average, but this will still fly even when it gets to overhead. So it's a good board to have in your quiver, and a board you'll probably be able to ride 60% of the time, maybe 70% of the time. Underneath, we've got single to double concave. It is fairly shallow, the single running through this board. It's not really that visible, to be honest. It does deepen through the central part of the board as you'd expect, but then fairly quickly we are getting into a double. The double starting roughly around the FST logo, and it's at its deepest through the Chubby Chedda logo there, and it does flatten out a bit again through the tail. So standard single to double, deep single here, but helping the water and the air underneath through the fins, and then forcing out through two channels, just creating your thrust and your drive as normal. And that ability to have the lower point here in the board is also keeping the board nice and manoeuvrable from rail to rail. So spin it round to see that a bit easier. Board back and forth, but all the way through, they're all very subtle concaves. They're helping the board, but none of them are over aggressive. Standard thrust of this board, so quite often you'll see fin options. This is just pure thruster, keeping it nice and simple. It's a standard squash tail shortboard. It's nearly always going to go better as a thruster anyway. So standard FCS, the new FCS plugs in that model there, but a cracking overall shortboard shape from LSD. It is a fairly standardised kind of template, but the volume distribution in this is really quite subtle. The board looks pretty high performance, but there is nice volume hidden up the front half, and then a beautiful bump squash tail in the back, When you combine that with a tail rocker, you are getting a very responsive squash tail board. Perfect surf, 2 to 4 foot, and if you want to push it, you can be riding this up to 6 foot pretty easily. You might need to change your fins, etc. But a real beautiful, good fun, solid squash tail board for anyone and any surf within reason. Highly recommended. Thanks for watching.